Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing a video on the Tyne Metro and its sort of future expansions. So my last video, I've covered the history of the Tyne Metro based on the Tyne electrics, and then I've covered the creation of the metro itself. And now, just to sort of conclude this as a sort of third part, I'm going to talk about the Tyne Metro future and sort of any potential expansions that it's proposing. So the metro is the backbone of public transport within Tyne and Wear. 25% of homes within the county of Tyne and Wear are within walking distance of a metro station. There are currently 36 million passenger journeys on the metro. However, the metro system doesn't provide sort of an easy travel for everyone who lives in the region, and there's still a lot of areas that it needs to cover. The growth of out-of-town business parks, just Cobalt, the Team Valley industrial area, which has continued to be a major employment area for the Northeast, and also the metro centre is also not connected to the network. So without these huge employment areas and uses, it sort of leads into the car dependency of the area. So these are areas that need to be solved in order to change the modal shift, and that's sort of the modal shift is how much of each transport is used. So as mentioned in my last video, some new trains are due to arrive in 2023. Alongside this, the North of Tyne Combined Authority, alongside the North East Combined Authority, released a plan that's actually going to consultation, which is trying to highlight the transport improvements they want to bring to the region. So these obviously still need to get funded, whether it is through government or private investment, but this is showing sort of the ambition or the desire that they want to bring and the sort of schemes they want to lead with. So this plan doesn't just focus on the metro itself. It's proposing sort of improvements to all transport methods within the Northeast, including car travel, increased active travel, as well as an increase in public transportation through the use of buses, local rail services and the metro. But this video is just going to focus on the listed metro and light rail improvements within the county. The Metroflow project. The aim of this is to change the existing line that runs to South Shields into double track. There's currently a single track up to double track. As it exists, this is single track. This will increase the frequency of services along this line and allow any future additions to be made, as without this change, it'd be hard to increase any expansion of services or anything else like that. The first major expansion after this improvement to double track, will be the Ashington expansion. So the first project, which is likely to come to fruition, will be expanding the Metro North using existing freight lines that exist. This line is known as the Northumberland line. Funding has already been earmarked for the scheme and it's likely to get government funding. And this offers to connect Ashington, Bedlington and Blyth. All of these towns currently do not have a rail connection and would benefit from having this connection. As I said, the rail bed's already there. This is still used as a freight line, but it's not used for passenger services, so bringing this line back into use has a low cost compared to a lot of these other projects. Ashington did previously used to have a railway station, but this closed. Opening a station here will be very beneficial. This proposal is expected to cost £162 million and has received government backing. This is likely to be delivered in 2 phases, and this should be delivered by 2025, according to the plan. The North East Transport Plan expects that connecting the economies of Ashington, Blyth and Newcastle, there'll be a great economic interaction between these, resulting in growth for both areas of between £42 to £50 million. And this is wider economic benefits, not just direct. So the proposed stations along this line, Ashington, Bedlington, Blyth Bebbside, Newsham and Seaton Dublin. This would then connect into Northumberland Park. It's like this route would actually then connect into Newcastle Central, so it's unclear whether this actually be a metro style link or a national rail line connected into Newcastle Central. As I said, this is most likely project to come to fruition due to it already having feasibility studies already undertaken. This is being performed by planning consultancies. So the main challenge for this project to overcome is sort of how the service will be run. As I said, it's not directly clear whether this is actually run as a metro service connected to Northumberland Park, or would this be more of a national rail service that would connect into Newcastle Central. Running this as a metro service would result in a greater uptake in usage, as the better service is provided by having more frequent trains and not having sort of planned journeys in advance. You can just turn up at the station. This running as a metro service will likely make people switch from the car to this new metro service more quickly than say running this as an hourly service, where people aren't actually that encouraged to make the switch across. As part of this proposal, there is also a suggested link of connecting Blyth station into Morpeth to connect these two towns better. However, I feel this part is the least likely to be constructed, as this link, whilst improving connections between those two towns, I'm not sure the overall demand of this service. Obviously, feasibility studies would have to be undertaken to see whether this idea of connecting these two towns would be worthwhile performing. The next major link would be the South Hilton to Washington. So currently the metro network ends at South Hilton, and this is a dead end. The proposal is to expand this through Washington and back up north, connected in to the existing metro network. So a bit of background to this: Washington is actually the fourth largest town in the UK without a rail service. So the idea of expanding the metro system out and connecting this town, which is currently relying on buses and cars, would be great for this town. As I said, this will then flow north. This will connect north through Washington and connect back into Heworth Metro Station. There are further aspirations for this one to draw this line further south to Durham, Belmont and into Ferry Hill. This line is likely to be constructed at some point in the future, as Washington, as I said, is in need of a rail link. Whether this is run again as a metro or a national rail, I think this is more likely to be run as a metro due to the fact it connected into South Hilton. For a town of its size, Washington, it's quite strange how this was built without a rail link in the first place. Washington was constructed as a new town to deal with overpopulation in Sunderland and Newcastle, mainly Sunderland, and this was the second wave of new towns this town was actually constructed. This actually creates its sort of biggest issue to come to fruition. So these new towns, especially in the case of Washington, its residential and commercial sectors are divided. It doesn't flow as one, whereas older historic towns normally have a residential and commercial combined. So obviously, as I said, the biggest issue they face is very much more low density than the other places they're connecting. There's a greater separation between Washington's commercial sector, which is the galleries and the shopping centre there, and its residential area. This means the metro station would actually need to serve either the commercial area of Washington, so the galleries area, or would this connect into one of the low density neighbourhoods of Washington. So this is sort of something they need to consider, and where would be most beneficial is obviously the question they need to answer. So the next project proposed is connecting the Metro Centre in the west of Newcastle. So there are further proposed changes to restore the old line outside of the west of Newcastle Central Station, across the River Tyne near Blyth. This most likely would either reuse or rebuild the existing rail bridge near Blyth. This aims to connect into the mainline station at the Metro Centre, which, despite its name, the Metro Centre does not actually have a metro link, but it does have a national rail link. Further to this, there are proposals to create a station for the Tyne Valley Trading Park. This is one of the largest employment sites in the northeast, currently not connected by heavy or light rail. This could, if this proposal was done and Tyne Valley did have a rail link, could eventually lead further to the creation of an A1 park and ride. Park and rides have actually been attempted within Newcastle's own boundaries before. So we've got the Newcastle Great Park and Ride, but the limited success of this, due to you have to travel past Newcastle and further north to get to this, which most people would sooner drive into the centre. This means it had limited success. So a metro or rail link from the south connecting an A1 park and ride is likely to be a much better option at serving this. So this will hopefully reduce the amount of traffic heading into Newcastle and Gateshead centres. Of all this, one of the changes which are not proposed is the expansion of St James's Metro. So if you look at the Metro map currently, this runs into a dead end at St James's where the line stops. I'm not sure, I don't think with the original plans of the Metro this line was ever meant to be taken further. It's always said that historically this line would be extended through Fenham and out to the west of Newcastle. But this is not included at all within the proposed plans. This is likely due to the recent development of the View student accommodation, which I'll show here. This student accommodation, its foundations are said to actually be in direct line of St James's Metro station, so any further tunnelling is unlikely to take place. There's a few developments happening around St James's Metro station which sort of link it, lock it in further. So Newcastle Helix, a large science park being built on the old Newcastle Brewery site. This is obviously a huge employment area now for the city centre. Well, it's likely to become. If the St James's Metro is to be expanded, then expand it out to Newcastle Helix, with it being such a large employment site. But the fact the station's not been expanded sort of shows this will stay as a dead end, at least for the time being. The ground above St James's as well, it's also been redeveloped. So this is existing above ground a car park. This is now being changed into a hotel and residential accommodation. I think as well an office block. So I think St James's is unlikely to be expanded, and any metros out to the west, as said before, will be through the old rail line out of Newcastle Central. But yeah, this was just sort of an overview of potential projects which might come to fruition. Obviously this has been a development plan, it's subject to change, but it just highlights some of the changes that you could expect to see for the metros following the new trains arriving. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this.